The night I realized my husband had been lying to me for 15 years, I was sitting in the dark of our bedroom, holding a photograph I wasn't supposed to see. It had fallen out of his wallet when he dropped it on the dresser, a worn, creased image of a woman I didn't recognize. She was beautiful, with dark hair and a smile that looked like mine. On the back, in his handwriting, "Elena, my forever. I will find you again." My hands stopped shaking after a while. The cold that spread through my chest was not shock. It was the slow, terrible understanding that the man I had given my life to had been living a lie from the very first day. My name is Cordelia West, and I believed in love the way some people believe in gravity. It was a force I couldn't see, but I felt it every day. Julian was my husband, my partner, the father of my 2 children. We met at a coffee shop, a rainy afternoon, a spilled latte, a joke that made me laugh until my stomach hurt. He was charming, attentive, and utterly devoted. Or so I thought. We built a life together, a house in the suburbs, a golden retriever, a garden that bloomed every spring. I thought we were happy. I thought we were safe. The woman in the photograph was named Elena. I learned that from the private investigator I hired 3 days after finding the picture. Julian had been married before, a fact he had hidden from me for our entire relationship. Elena was his first wife. She had disappeared 15 years ago, presumed dead in a boating accident. Julian collected a life insurance payout, grieved publicly, and moved on. But the investigator found something the original police investigation had missed. Elena had not died. She had run. Away from Julian. Away from a marriage that was not what it seemed. I confronted him that night. I laid the photograph on the kitchen table, along with the investigator's report. He stared at them for a long time, his face unreadable. Then he looked up at me, and I saw something I had never seen before. Not guilt. Not shame. Calculation. "What do you want, Cordelia?" he asked. His voice was calm, almost bored. "You want the truth. You can't handle the truth. You want to leave. You'll lose the house, the kids, everything. I have better lawyers. I always have." I stood there, my hands trembling, my heart pounding, and I realized that the man I had loved was a stranger. A stranger who had been playing a role for 15 years. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just nodded, walked upstairs, and started planning. The next morning, I called Elena. It took weeks to find her, months to build trust. She was living in a small town in Oregon, under a new name, afraid that Julian would find her again. She told me everything. The bruises she hid from friends. The threats he made when she tried to leave. The night she faked her death to escape him. She had lost everything, her family, her career, her identity. She had been running for 15 years. I made her a promise. I would not let Julian win. I would not let him destroy another woman's life. I would use every tool I had, my access to his finances, his schedule, his secrets, to bring him down. Not for revenge. For justice. For Elena. For myself. For the 2 children who deserved to know who their father really was. The hunt had begun. And Julian had no idea that the woman he had underestimated was about to become his worst nightmare. The months that followed were the hardest of my life. I had to pretend. Every morning, I made Julian's coffee, kissed his cheek, asked about his day. Every night, I lay beside him, listening to him breathe, feeling the weight of his lies pressing down on me. I wanted to scream. I wanted to run. But I had made a promise to Elena, and I intended to keep it. So I stayed. I watched. I waited. I started small. Julian kept his secrets in a safe behind his office desk, a heavy metal box with a digital lock. He thought I didn't know the combination. He was wrong. I had watched him open it 100 times over the years, never suspecting that I was memorizing every number. One afternoon, when he was at work, I opened it. Inside were documents I had never seen, bank accounts in foreign countries, property deeds under fake names, a passport with a photograph of Julian and a different face. He had been planning to disappear for years. He had another life waiting, somewhere far away, where no one knew his name. I photographed everything. Then I put it all back, exactly as I had found it. I reached out to Elena again. She was scared, still hiding, still afraid that Julian would find her. I told her about the documents, about the passports, about the other life he had been building. She cried. "He'll never stop," she whispered. "He'll find me. He'll find you. He'll find anyone who knows the truth." I held the phone and made another promise. "He won't. Because we're going to stop him first." We built a case together, Elena and I. She gave me names of people who had helped her escape, witnesses who had seen the bruises, doctors who had treated her injuries. I gathered financial records, emails, text messages. I hired a forensic accountant who owed me a favor. Within 6 months, we had enough evidence to put Julian away for decades. But I didn't go to the police. Not yet. I wanted to give him a choice. The same choice he had never given Elena. The same choice he had never given me. One night, after the children were asleep, I sat him down at the kitchen table. I placed a folder in front of him. Inside were copies of everything: the bank accounts, the property deeds, the passport, Elena's testimony. He opened it, read for a long time, and then looked up at me. His face was pale. His hands were shaking. "How?" he whispered. "I've known for over a year, Julian. I've been watching. I've been waiting. And now you're going to listen." I gave him his options. He could sign over the house, the savings, the custody of our children. He could transfer every hidden asset to a trust for Elena's care. He could confess to the authorities and accept whatever sentence they gave him. Or I could release everything to the police, the media, and every person who had ever trusted him. He would lose everything either way. But one path offered a shred of mercy. He signed. There was no fight left in him. The divorce was finalized within months. I kept the house, the children, and a small portion of the savings. The rest went to Elena, enough to rebuild her life after 15 years of running. Julian was sentenced to 8 years in federal prison for fraud and identity theft. I didn't attend the sentencing. I didn't need to. Today, I live in the same house, but it feels different. The walls no longer hold his secrets. The garden blooms every spring, just as it always did. My children are happy, healthy, and beginning to understand, in age-appropriate ways, why their father isn't coming home. I don't lie to them. I tell them that he made choices that hurt people and that he has to face the consequences. They are young, but they are wise. They learn from my example. Elena calls me sometimes. She has a small apartment with a garden of her own. She is learning to trust again, to hope again, to live without fear. She sent me a photograph last week, her smiling in front of a rose bush, the sun on her face. On the back, she had written, "Thank you for keeping your promise." I keep that photograph on my dresser, next to the one of my children. It reminds me why I fought, why I stayed, why I refused to let Julian win. The vow I made to Elena was not about revenge. It was about justice. It was about 2 women refusing to be silenced, refusing to be erased, refusing to let a predator define their futures. I lost 15 years to a lie. But I gained something more valuable: the truth and the freedom that comes with it. Sometimes the people we love most are the ones hiding the darkest secrets. Trust your instincts. Gather your evidence. Build your network. And remember, you are never as alone as you feel. Somewhere, someone has survived the same storm. Find them. Fight together. And when you win, help the next woman in line. That is how we break the cycle. That is how we heal.